Inside our community, we talk a lot about structure, but structure is a license to print money. Now, what I'm going to show you is we're going to look through Bitcoin and total crypto market cap structure. I'm going to give you an understanding of how to read it. I bought around here and sold around here, got stopped out around here for Pepe. This is a Pepe chart. That actually made me around 9,729 Aussie dollars and 6,400 US. Now also I bought down here and sold up here for Pepe, doing an 8.68%. That yielded about 1,300. Now this just gives you a bit of an understanding. This occurred in less than 24 hours and this occurred in about half a day. You can make a huge amount of money, but you must understand structure. So let's run the numbers and let's get into it. I'm going to give you some fantastic tips. And if you're new to the channel, please smash that like button and subscribe. Turn on the bell notification icon so you don't miss ways to make money. Let's run the numbers. Price action is not random. Price action is always driven by structure. If you know where the structure is ahead of time, in other words, if you can see the market structure looking towards the right, you have the secret recipe to dominate financial markets. And that's absolutely what we do here inside our community. Now, when we look at Bitcoin, we can see that Bitcoin in the past 24 hours just did a bit of a bolt up to this overhead structural resistance around that 109 area. And one of the things that you'll note, each and every month there are updates to the CTKS method. This is actually because when you mark up your charts with level 1 and level 2 standard certification, you get a changing picture of the markets. And that is what the structural indicator for Bitcoin actually shows you. It shows you where the structure is inside Bitcoin's price structure. And it does so according to all the price history, not just recent indicative price or RIP, which does exactly that to your money. The question is, how do you read structure? When you find that structure is getting overpassed, for example, we saw this consolidation around here and an upward thrust. That brought us up to this 108,400 fairly quickly. Just a quick note to members of the CTKS method service. When you get your new indicators, you will notice this recycling icon appear. Now what you do to actually just update the indicator, just right click on the background, update this script, and you will see all the lines change. Update the script and just on the background and update this script. And you are good to go. Now, one of the things that you may be interested in, just if you set this background to auto fits data to screen and scale price chart only, that is the absolute best way, because all the lines will just be in concert. As you move in and out, it will all adjust. It's absolutely the best way to go. And if you want to just collapse them, you can do it like that. Nice and easy, all done. And one thing you'll notice, from month to month, the background color changes. This is a very important thing. And you can see in here the expiration date of this particular indicator. So please keep that in mind. The indicators are updated each and every month in strict accordance with level 1 and level 2 standard certification. This particular template that I've got right here is from the Profiting course. It is an absolute insanely good template. I use it for all my trades. From there, we ran into a lot of sellers. These dotted lines, when the price is below, they are sell levels. That's where smart money is coming in and dumping their holdings. Now, this is exactly why we leveled out here, because it takes a while to churn and burn through these levels. One of the things that we know, we can't just look at Bitcoin to figure out where Bitcoin is going. That may sound really counterintuitive, but it's an absolute fact. The other chart that we need to look at is total crypto market cap. Across the same time period, we saw this behavior. Total absolutely took off. flatlined and is looking to break out again. But we must always bear in mind, where is the structure? Where are the buyers and where are the sellers? If we've got too much sell side activity, that can create a bit of a brick wall. And what did we see here? As Bitcoin took off, total crypto market cap filled this positive CTKS gap, but then there were so many sellers, and that caused the price to just flatline. For the students of the profiting course, please just take note of this behavior. We can see the total crypto market cap at the current time is strengthening. It's got above quite a few levels of overhead structural resistance, so this plays in quite nicely. If we stay above structure, we're heading upwards. If we come back, for example, if we fail right here, we're coming down to this level here. Now that's called a structural failure. This is called negative structural attraction to this level. Now when we look at that, that would take price back to there. The question becomes, how do we read this? The first thing that you need to do is to have your 15-minute chart on. And then you want to go back and reference Bitcoin. Now we can see here that Bitcoin is on a 30-minute interval. That means we need to change this across to 15 minutes. And then we need to scale out to make sure that we're looking at the same time. So that was about there. Okay, so that's what we're looking at. So we remember when we look at total crypto market cap coming down to about this area at 1530. So we go back to here, around that 1530 would place us here. That would be around the 109, 150 mark. This is really critical to understand. What's controlling Bitcoin at the moment isn't Bitcoin, it's total crypto market cap. And of course it gets a lot deeper than that. As when you know the cheat sheet and you can read across the cheat sheet, you'll understand how many things move markets. But you can see here that 109, 150 mark on total would play out if total retraced to there. And if it does retrace to there, we've got quite a bit of support inside total. Total has been responsible for the waves of price action inside Bitcoin today. When you understand how to read between charts, you can literally look at a structural level on total and predict what Bitcoin's price would be if Bitcoin sold down. Now that's all well and good, but you're interested in the other way. What happens if we go up? Now what this is showing is something really cool. We've got a positive CTKS gap all the way up to 3.39 trillion. Now what this effectively means, if we get a structural pass here, we could come up really sharply, the entire market up to this point. But this is very strong structure around the 3.39, so expect a bit of this action. It doesn't necessarily stop it, so these are not brick walls. They are gravitational well areas, or GWs. Now let's go and have a look on Bitcoin, and how does that play out here? We can see Bitcoin has a little bit of structure, so Bitcoin and total are cross-independent, or cross-interdependent with each other. So that means what happens to Bitcoin happens to total and vice versa. You need to keep your eyes on both and then look at what you're trading or investing in. So it's not a clear-cut path up to that $3.39 trillion mark. The charts will impact each other. But it's a very good sign. Bitcoin in the next 24 hours, if the total crypto market cap goes positive, could end up at $111,000. Wow, fantastic. And if we come down, we've got quite a lot of structural support playing underneath here. I would like to give you a really interesting perspective on holidays and how it relates to trading and investing. For example, inside every single chart we know we have structural resistance and structural support. Just have a look at this. You know, this family is up here saying, we're going to go on holiday. Now, in order to go on holiday, the first thing they do probably is plan out their trip, figure out where they're going to go, how they're going to stay in different places, what their travel path is, all of that. But what happens if they don't get on the plane, or all the planes just close down? They'll never ever make it to here. That is what you need to understand. If Bitcoin is going to a specific price, it must get through the structure first. A lot of people talk about stories. Stories are terrific, but for traders they're disastrous. It realistically depends on what kind of trading you're doing, but just think about it like this. In order to get this vacation, if you were going on a holiday, you got to, for example, take a flight somewhere to this location. You've booked the flight, you've turned up to the airport, and unfortunately the airport has closed. There's a hurricane in, nothing is getting off the ground. You've just struck structural overhead resistance. Let's go back and make it really realistic. So we were talking about total crypto market cap and how it's impacting Bitcoin. We know as traders, because we're so focused on how price actually develops in reality. We ditch all the stories because they're absolutely and utterly irrelevant. It's kind of like, you're going to get the best vacation ever. Not if the plane doesn't take off. Traders are like literally ticking the box every time. So what do we know here? We're actually doing the 109 target right now. And if you know Rule 200 is flexibly adjust to the market, we must embrace reality. Ditch those stories, they'll cost you a fortune. Hence, it goes like this. There's a lot of good potential in the market, but we have to get above here and show the potential. And when that potential is confirming, we can do something about it. To give you an example of what doing something about it looks like from a trading perspective, this was a trade that was done in the past 24 hours. The profit here, I just do a constant position size. This is $862 worth of profit, or about 1,200 Australian. This is another example of a couple of trades that we talked about just a little while ago. So I'll just expand that, and here I went in a little bit more deeply. So we're talking around 6,000 plus, or nearly 10,000 Australian dollars. And one of these positions was actually stop lossed out, so I was trailing the stop up. If you think about it, if I didn't have structure, I would have zero confidence, absolute zero confidence to do those kind of trades. Instead, I have a lot of confidence because I know, structurally speaking, where the support levels are, where the resistance levels are. I know how different charts intercorrelate and interconnect. For example, the current target on Bitcoin is around that 109, say 150 to 200 mark. Of course, there's a lot more to it, but the issue is that I read structure in order to understand a price chart like this that seemingly does not have structure, but it does. It has interdependent structure. As traders, we're always in and out of the market. And to give a bit of context on this one, you can see the purchases that I did here. That was here and here. And the sell that I did here, that one was there, and this stop loss was unfortunately there. But if I had kept that position in and it just decayed all the way down, it would have actually taken out a stop loss if I put it down further, as people normally do. So I could have handled this particular trade much better, but I wanted to let it run because I thought it would, but it just didn't, and it turned against me. This is an example of a trade that's turned against me. It's still not a bad outcome, but the concept is what you will find, just limit your downside losses. And I could have limited it up here or kind of like that, but we don't have crystal balls. All we can do is just deal with what we're handed. So with that said, even though it was stopped out of the trade, it still made about 1,600 US and about 6,400 US in total. And in totality, it occurred in less than a day. You can literally do it all day long, just go in and out of the market, but you must have permission. I talk extensively about market permission inside the Profiting from CTKS Method Structure course. Before I mention this particular profit of 862, just to show you the buy level on that was 939 and 1020 was the sell level. So that came from there. So when you look at 862, that's around 1,300 Aussie dollars, and it was done in a little over 12 hours. But how I do this, I look for market permission, which means I'm looking at the structure I'm looking at directional momentum across the cheat sheet, and I'm making sure that if I get into the position, it makes sense. It's a high quality trade. And then what I do, step by step, I just look at this specific trade and I say, I set my loss, whatever that loss target is. I can set it mentally or I can do a stop loss. The interesting thing is that we're literally the home of small percentage trades, because when you do that, you would be staggered how much money you can make. 2% compounding is a lot of money, but this is not 1.2% or anything like that, 2%. It's nearly 9%. Now, why did I know that this was a good idea? Because when I looked at the structure, there was a lot of structure up here. Even though it was coming down, it looked, just imagine if you were at this particular point here and just saying, I think it can reach there because of structure. That will take you a while to get to, because you need to trust the structure, and that means that you need to prove it out over time. And it's exactly why I set the sell target there, because there was a lot of upward overhead structure in this area for Pepe. And I put it up there because there was a positive CTKS gap, so I knew it could be very, very explosive up until this point. And that's precisely what happened. But if it went back the other way, I already knew my maximum loss. And for the members who have got the yearly Pepe, Pepe really pays. And those levels are released. I showed you before how to update your charts. Okay, let's look back into the crypto market. Now we can see total crypto market cap is already starting on its way up to the 3.39 trillion. Very nice. And what is that doing to Bitcoin? Of course, it's going up, but expect around that 110,400 for things to get a little bit choppy for Bitcoin. And these structural levels are also out for Bitcoin July and also total crypto market cap July as part of the service. You can make an absolute fortune if you know the structure and you know how to read it. Don't start big, start small with coffee money and learn to just trust the levels and read the levels. And when you can do both, you're setting yourself up for an incredible life. Have a great day or night ahead, my friends, and Kate and I look forward to catching up with you again in the next video. Bye for now.